Ben Mitchell getting set for the second game of our doubleheader. Minutes away, Blazers Jazz. What's he listening to? Nobody knows. Welcome inside our LA NBA studio with Paul Pierce and Michael Wilbon. I'm Michelle Beadle. Real quick, Paul, your thoughts on the game we just saw?
Well, you got two teams who's lost their star players for the year, but it's the one thing about Wizards, they have another star, Bradley Beal, who's been carrying them, hopefully, to a playoff run this year without John Wall.
They picked up a game on Charlotte tonight. Jeff Green came off the bench. They look like a different team because I'm not going to be going crazy and saying, oh, they're going to play better without John Wall. You can do that for a while. The question is, can you do it in the long haul? But Bradley Beal and Jeff Green together, they got a shot at 8, don't they, Paul?
Yeah, without a doubt. Eastern Conference, yeah. Anything can happen.
This shady Eastern Conference thing. We got to figure that
out.
You
put us 3 on the team. We got a shot at the playoffs in the East.
Pretty good from far. Let's talk about another game that happened tonight. It's the first Pelicans home game since the AD trade request. There he is, awkward, missing 4 starters again, hosting the Nuggets. Whew.
We're going to get to awkward.
We're going to get to awkward here in a second. Before we can do that, we got to check that. Okafor, though, enjoying his time out there, had 14 points on the night, fourth quarter.
A lot of opportunity now.
Drew Holiday makes it a 1-point game. He had 22, 6, and 6, and Jokic with a layup. Jokic, I mean, I say this every night, but
triple-double.
Yeah, he had a triple-double.
8th of the season.
Triple-double. The Nuggets win the game on the road, but more interestingly, before the game, the Pelicans video, their intro no longer includes Anthony Davis, despite the fact that he's sitting over there on the bench. I ask you guys, is this something or nothing?
That's something to me. That's something. Because if you're still on the team and you come and support your team, and you're going to come back after a few days from injury or however long he's going to be out, if they don't make the trade, then what? You just slap him back on there?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what.
You're going to have some Oscar-worthy editing, film editing right there.
It's more work, yeah.
So he comes back in 2 or 3 games, talking about finger injury. He's not out for the season. What do you do? Do you just have the version where he's still not in it? You can't do that because he's on the floor.
Maybe he didn't know.
And what does it say? I mean, how do you incorporate him and have any sort of good feeling? Or are you just declaring your season over and done?
Well, okay, so I mean, I guess the first question is why would the team do it? Part of me thinks maybe that wasn't supposed to be the one that went on Jumbotron today.
We all know that's petty.
It is. It's packing up the suitcase, putting it in the front yard,
it is.
telling him, okay, have a great life, but you may have to welcome him back home for a few days, and that could be awkward.
Or for another season.
Or another year.
Yeah.
Right. He's under contract.
But on the same note, I'm never going to make fun of Petty because I think Petty's great. So as far as I'm concerned, that's just somebody being petty, and I'm good with it.
That's sort of that's an NFL move.
Oh, what does that mean?
That is not a move you associate.
Talk to me about this.
The NBA is truly a players' league, and we can see that this week by what is being orchestrated, right? I mean, the players are the stars of this league. You know who they are. People go and see the players. They might even go to see a game. You go to see stars come. Okay, the NFL is not that. They go see the jersey. That's why they can put replacement players out there historically. They can put us in a jersey. People root for that.
We're playing again.
So Anthony Davis, who we don't know how long he's going to be in
we have no idea.
Pelican.
No.
You take him out of that mix, and now, first of all, he's sitting there. Did he not look up and think, my God, I've been
I'm sitting right here.
Maybe he didn't notice. Right. Maybe they didn't notice. Also, in fairness, New Orleans has had a bit of a tough couple weeks here. Bad news all over the place. So, yeah, maybe just lashing out a little bit. It's all right. Nobody got hurt. But Damian Lillard is getting set, little star showdown with Donovan Mitchell. But before our game tonight, he was asked if the Blazers would be interested in acquiring Anthony Davis.
I mean, I think our first reaction is like, all right, where are you going to go? And can we get him, especially a player that's that level? So I think around the league, everybody's saying the same thing. All right, where are you going to try to go? You know, the first thing is he going to try to go here or there, and then you start figuring out how you can get him. It's that simple.
I mean, yeah, who says no if the possibility is there? Is there a scenario in which you could see that even happening?
That's a player, if they can get up to Portland, puts them over the top.
Interesting.
But it's hard to imagine keeping both McCollum and Dame and also adding Anthony Davis. I mean, how many assets? What are we talking about? They're going to trade like 1977 Bill Walton and a couple of
think
picks?
about that. Look at all the teams around the league. Anthony Davis is the prize joy. I mean, I bet you the Miami Heat, everybody's like, do we have a shot at him? And could you imagine him on our team? Because he's that type of player that if you get an Anthony Davis and you put him on any of the other 29 teams, you have a shot, a real shot of playing in the final.
I will say this. I'm also afraid when guys answer that question now because I don't know the rules anymore.
Well, that's
what you're allowed
he
to
didn't
say.
violate anything.
No, he didn't.
That was not a violation of any sort of rule about tampering. Players can talk about players.
I'm not going to talk about it.
You can't announce you're demanding a trade, but you can talk about it.
You can't do that. Time to go.
Lowest score ever one year.
Donovan Mitchell was on Wilbon's reserves, and Paul, you did not have him on there. Why not?
I was so torn about this because over the last month or so, he's been balling and well-deserving, as there are many other players in the Western Conference well-deserving. But it's just like I said, we need to get away from the East-West thing and just say, give me the best 24 players, or Donovan Mitchell will be on.
100%.
But he should be on the team. It's just, some guys like Tobias Harris.
Too many.
Or some guys like this guy.
This guy, Rudy Gobert. Is he going to be defensive player of the year?
We had, 6 or 7 players we could have put on that All-Star team in the Western Conference? I mean, he could be defensive player again. He's offensively, he's having his best year, but he's also rebounding. I mean, he's holding his own with the top defensive
Fourth
players.
in blocks, 5th in rebound. Yeah, that's...
And guys like him, Steven Adams, I mean, these guys can make the All-Star team, but that's how good the West is now.
So let me ask you this. It's one thing to talk about making change. What are you going to do to make this change happen? Are you going to go to the league,
starting right now. We're here on national broadcast. You heard it right here. This is the only thing I can do. Use our platform for change.
Use our platform. Oh, thank goodness that's all from us. We'll see you all at the half. Send it out to Dave Pash and Doris Burke with the call. You gotta make a meeting.
Let's get this done. No more East and West.
There are going to be a lot of media members that try to take credit for what I'm about to say, that Anthony Davis ends up in Los Angeles.
Anthony Davis will not sign an extension in the offseason when he's eligible to.
It's out there now, and it's public knowledge, so what we have to do is block it out and do our jobs.
He's like one of the main, 90% of the reason why I stayed. That'll be good for the Lakers. Or whatever team that gets him.
We want guys to do exactly what they want to do in this league. We have a short amount of time, so why not do what you want?
Anthony Davis was fined $50,000 by the NBA for violating the CBA for making a trade request public.
Yes, it has been a week of talking about Anthony Davis and his future and where will he end up. And I want to ask Wilbon, how did the Pelicans fail as far as trying to keep this guy in New Orleans?
Well, I mean, Paul referred to this earlier already. They failed because they're not having any kind of season. I mean, Anthony Davis understandably wants to go somewhere where he has a chance to win. He has no chance to win if he can't even get in the playoffs.
Right.
The West is difficult, I know, and I know there have been injuries. But when you look, okay, there's 47% winning percentage. But I thought, Paul, this has all changed last year. They get in the playoffs. They beat Portland. I know the Warriors series only went 5, but there were some times they were really competitive. And I know they thought, and I know Alvin Gentry thought this, they were going to take a step forward this year and look to go deeper in the playoffs. Maybe instead of finishing 6th and having to be the 3, finish.
Based on what, though?
Finish it 4th. These guys were all going to be together. Mirotic more comfortable in his role. Anthony Davis still getting better at whatever it is, 25 years old. And Michelle, for them to be this bad, to be this far out of the playoffs picture, I mean, Dallas may not always be ahead of them in the standings, but they've passed them in terms of the energy of the franchise, how they feel about their great young player in Doncic. And New Orleans, Anthony Davis, if they were where they were last year and on the rise, that would be more difficult. I don't think you would have heard that announcement if the Pelicans were 4th or 5th in the Western Conference right now.
We would not be talking about this. Two simple things. If you re-sign DeMarcus Cousins.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you re-sign Rajon Rondo, they wouldn't be in this position right now. So I put a lot of that on upper management for not bringing those pieces back because Rondo clearly was the engine for them in the playoffs. And you say, hey, we sweep the Blazers. We lose to the Warriors, but we're going to get an upgrade back to next year in DeMarcus Cousins. So
do you think?
Let's build on that. And that was the mistake right there because as a superstar player, you putting up empty stats. You watching your peers out here night in and night out go to the playoffs, having a shot at it. You're putting up PER numbers that's out of this world, Anthony Davis, and it's all going to waste.
What about the people who say, yeah, but what about Anthony Davis? As a superstar, why haven't you been able to carry this team further than you have?
You can't do it by yourself. There's only one guy that can do that, and that's LeBron.
Right.
We've only seen one guy.
So then even if those guys had stayed, at the end of the day, if what he really wants to do is play with LeBron.
Well, let's go back to Rondo for a second. Because we saw just the year before that what he did with the Chicago Bulls team that had nothing.
If he doesn't get hurt, they beat the Celtics.
They beat the Celtics in the first round. So Rondo's
this is Rondo's fault.
Status is so far beyond questioning. But to not sign both those guys, and I think Rondo might have been more important, particularly when you look at a guy that you need to rally. It takes some of the pressure off Anthony Davis. I mean, as the leader, we see this in Washington. Paul knows this firsthand. We're going to get to this with John Wall. So after they let Paul go, they have still not replaced his veteran presence, not just on the floor, but in the locker room.
How can they?
The New Orleans didn't do that with Rondo.
How do you replace that guy?
It's
impossible to do. So this, obviously, all of this situation with the brow has inspired us to bring back a little segment we like to call This or That.
Let me see what we got.
Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. Here they come. This or that. Here they come. This or that. 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 You could get with this or you could get with that. You could get with this or you could get with that. You could get with this or you could get with that. I think you get with this. This is kind of fat. You could get with this or you could get with that. You could get with this or you could get with that. You could get with this or you could get with that. I think you get with this. Cause this is where it's at.
We're going to get into this, and we are going to take this whole thing from the Pelicans' point of view. If you were the Pelicans GM, what would you do? So first up, this Lakers package. Wilbon, you're going to start this one off. All the non-LeBron Lakers or Anthony Davis?
Well, the deal hasn't been made. It doesn't seem like it's going to get made, so clearly that's a signal. He's not answering the phone for the Lakers.
I would
answer phone calls. But, I mean, Ingram is better. He's so much better without LeBron. He's averaging 20 points a game without LeBron, but with him. And then I really like Kuzma. I mean, the jury's out on what they think of ball, but I think they would say Anthony Davis, and that's why the phone is still ringing.
Silence. Paul?
Anthony Davis.
Okay,
I got to stay with this generational talent.
Yep.
I mean, come on. You don't get players like this don't fall into your lap every day. You can find a Kuzma, you can find an Ingram, but not an Anthony Davis.
Okay, that's fair. How about, and you're going to start this one off, Anthony Davis or the Knicks duo of a recovering Porzingis and the rookie Kevin Knox?
That's one I may take a chance on. That's one because Porzingis is a new generation big man. He doesn't need much athleticism. If he gets back healthy, which I believe he will, and then you got a promising rookie in Knox, that's a deal I could live with trading for Anthony Davis.
Well, okay. That's big.
I could live with it too if you can assure me that Porzingis, and Paul's right about this particular thing. People are coming back from this injury now pretty good as pretty close to 100%.
Yes.
Where there's some other injuries that still, bother people for 2-3 more seasons. If you can guarantee me that, I might be able to live with it, but I got to see Porzingis. Has there been any video?
It's been a minute.
Video of everything in the world. There's no video lately of Porzingis running
Too many things,
on the
really.
beach. Nothing.
Running on the beach.
Something.
Wilbon, we'll talk about it in the break. Thinking ahead to the draft and a potential opportunity for your Bulls, actually. Anthony Davis or the likely #1 pick, Zion.
Okay, so
that's a good one.
I'm really conflicted here because Anthony Davis again, Chicagoan. And by the way, I think the Bulls will be conflicted. If I can have Markkanen, Wendell Carter, and Zion Williamson, you're giving me an entire front line if I am the New Orleans Pelicans. Right? And you're talking about guys on rookie contracts, so you'll be able to do some things in free agency as well. I think I might do that. If I'm the Bulls, Paul, I don't know. The energy that Zion Williamson is going to bring whoever he's drafted by to that place, that arena, that city, I don't know if I do that if I'm the Bulls.
If I'm the Pelicans, it's bye-bye, Anthony Davis.
Wow.
We'll order you your Uber, and we'll have one when you land. Because if I can get Zion Williams, Wendell Carter, and Markkanen, I got to do it.
Whole front line.
Okay, but he thought about it. He thought this one out, which I kind of like. This would maybe break the internet. Maybe.
What's this?
Anthony Davis, and Paul, you'll start us out on this one.
Right.
Or Draymond Green and DeMarcus.
Oh, that's a good one, man. Because Draymond is, he's a good piece, and then you got DeMarcus Cousins starting to look. He looked like he's gonna get back into his rhythm. But I'll take Anthony Davis on this one. Like I said, a generational talent again.
Wow, really?
I'm just going with now. Right now, Draymond is not playing like Draymond, and DeMarcus Cousins hasn't got back to that level yet. And I know what AD is bringing every night now before he had his injury.
Well, okay.
This was hard.
This one's legit.
I've gone back and forth a few times. I watched DeMarcus Cousins last week in a couple games in person in Washington. And Paul, he's still, when everybody's gone small with their lineups, right? So when he catches the ball in the post, which nobody even looks to throw it in anymore, and he seals, it's an automatic. I mean, he can shoot like 65, 68% the rest of the way because teams are small and they have no resistance for DeMarcus if he's all the way back. He's all the way back here, but he's coming. And then Draymond brings some elements they'd have to, and you know what?
That's a tough one.
Be fun.
And if Coach Gentry's still there, he was an assistant, he's been on that staff, he knows how to deal with Draymond in terms of what he wants to do on the court and the way he likes to be used. I might go Boogie and Draymond.
Okay. Wilbon taking some shots here. I kind of like it. Take some chances. And you mentioned Alvin Gentry there, and he brought this up earlier in the season. Wilbon, I'm going to start with you. Anthony Davis or Beyonce?
What are we talking about? Are we talking about singing? Are we talking about just
life?
Who
Just
I want
life.
to have in the arena every night?
Oh man.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna avoid any trouble.
What? That's no fun.
I'm gonna avoid any trouble and just answer the safe answer. Say Anthony Davis.
Are you kidding me?
I want Beyonce for any purpose that is not basketball. Singing, entertaining, smiling, just being in the room.
This is an easy one, Beats. I'm going with the one that puts up 30+ million a year and fills the arena. Beyonce.
True, she does.
I've seen the arena with Anthony Davis on the court.
I've seen some empty seats.
And I've seen an arena with Beyonce on the court.
Right.
It's sold out.
I know what those
What are the owners
tickets
trying to do right now? If you're not winning championships, it's about making money.
By the way, have you ever had the Beehive come after you? Really? I have. No, I've had. It's a tough group. Okay. Our NBA Friday doubleheader tips off. Yeah, no, it's at the Garden. Kyrie and the Celtics taking on the Knicks, and then Jokic and the Nuggets hosting James Harden and the Rockets. Our coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern on ESPN, and of course, the app. How about tonight's Rising Star, brought to you by Mountain Dew? Domantas Sabonis, Mountain Dew Ice, has averaged just under 14 points in 13 games without Victor Oladipo.
Most improved player.
Pacers are 2-0 against the Wizards this season. We'll find out if that continues.
Or maybe sixth man of the year.
You're just feeling real awardy lately. Coming up, Portland's electric backcourt duo receives a visit from a man who knows a thing or two about legendary duos. Scottie Pippen talking about the best backcourts and how to bounce back from last year's disappointing finish.